नवमूर्ति विनोदकारी पलपन विसरे नहीं जो विसारी जुगल चरण सोल चिन्ह जेह नजर समीपे रहो अमरी एह नजर समीपे रहो अमारी एह घनश्याम महाराज ની જય હરિકૃષ્ણ મહારાજ ની જય સ્વામિનારાયણ ભગવાન ની જય. Ever since in ancient times, whenever man has arrived here on this earth by Bhagwan, there has been some kind of pain, some kind of misery that has been inside the life of every man and woman. That pain, that misery was something that each and every person had to deal with, are dealing with, and will deal with in the future. But Bhagwan Swaminarayan, his vision for ever since the beginning of this earth was to develop a place where these men, women, children can ease and remove their pain and misery from their day-to-day worldly life and get some kind of bliss and happiness which is permanent and which is forever. Bhagwan thought, and from his thoughts, he placed the concept of a mandir, or translated a temple in English, on this earth. Mandirs or temples, or we can say churches or a house of worship, any house of worship, is a place where man, women, and children can go to get peace of heart and to remove their pain and miseries. It is a place which they can call their home. That's why today's lecture is Mandir, my home, sweet home. A unique title that you can remember even when you come to Mandir, that this is my home, sweet home. You know, usually, which I have perceived and seen in many homes, is when you enter the house, above the door, home sweet home is written. So whoever lives in that home, when they read that board, they can remember that this is my home, and from there, there's no place like home. But in reality, is home really an address or a place that we have bought? Or can home be called another place? What is our home sweet home? Well, according to Bhagwan Swaminarayan's principles, Bhagwan Swaminarayan says in the Vachnamrut, I have preserved mandirs to enforce upasana and bhakti. Bhagwan has said this in the Vachnamrut, and from there we can understand his intentions that a home is a place where, a mandir is a place where each and every person can find peace at heart. So today's presentation is on Mandir, my home, sweet home. What is a mandir? First and foremost, there has to be a simple definition. There has to be an advanced definition. For those who can take it simply, take it simply. For those who can take it advanced, take it advanced. So, simple. The simple definition of a mandir is a structure reserved for religious or spiritual activities. Now, when you come to mandir or a temple, there's many different kinds of activities, such as listening to discourses, performing kirtans or singing religious hymns, doing mada, pradakshina, danvat, doing seva, vacuuming, cleaning, sweeping, having the darshan of Maharaj, preparing for different festivals, all these different kinds of spiritual activities are reserved in a temple. If you go outside, right next door, maybe 50 yards next door, there might be even a bar, or there might be a place where they do things that are not appropriate. But 50 yards away, that environment is like that. But a mandir's uniqueness is, even if a mandir is in the middle of slums, or even if a mandir is in middle of an unpious area, when you enter the mandir, the environment is completely different from the outside. When you have the darshan of Maharaj, when you have darshan of santos and bhaktos, when you have darshan of the structure itself, you feel a different vibe. And those vibrations that are coming from the mandir become absorbed into us. And due to that very factor, peace is attained. But 50 yards away in a bar, you are you. Your body is your body. There is nothing different. If you go to that place, you will not attain that kind of emotion or vibrations, because that place is a bar and this place is a mandir. That's the difference. 50 yards away, or I'm saying 10 yards away. But structures change, and due to that very change, a formation in mentality, a formation in emotion, a formation in our perspective completely changes when we enter this certain environment which we call the mandir. Going to an advanced definition of a mandir. A mandir is the Hindu name for a place of worship or prayer. Mandir is a Sanskrit word for where the mind becomes still and the soul floats freely to seek the source of life, peace, joy, and comfort. The first point you already understood, but the second point is something to ponder over. Mandir is a Sanskrit word. Sanskrit is a language, it's the holiest language, and it is a very ancient language, and in Sanskrit it's a very deep language. For example, in English, one word will have one definition, most likely. But in the word of Sanskrit, one word may have 50 definitions. That's how deep of a language it is. And from this language, the word mandir is derived. For where the mind becomes still. Now, if we think about it, when we are outside in our day-to-day activities, our mind is constantly shooting thoughts, firing thoughts. I'm going to do this, I'm going to go there, I'm going to do this, I'm going to eat this, I'm going to get this errand done, I have to do this, I cannot do this or I'll get in trouble. All these different thoughts are shooting one after another, one after another. But when you come to a mandir and you have the darshan of Maharaj, santos, bhaktos, the environment itself, if you have gone to a mandir, you will experience for yourself all those thoughts become completely shut down. It's because of the integrity. It's because of the weight of the environment that our mind automatically becomes still. And the soul floats freely to seek the source of life, peace, joy, and comfort. The soul floats freely. What does that mean? Well, in the world, we're bound. We're bound to obligations. We're bound to certain responsibilities of taking care of our families, or our academic life, or our financial status, or our job, occupation. All these obligations and responsibilities are tangled within us. And due to that, our soul cannot float freely to seek life, peace, joy, and comfort. But when the soul comes to Mandir, automatically it floats freely, and automatically life, peace, joy, and comfort are experienced. Only such an environment which has these four elements can be considered to be a mandir. Now, a mandir can also be at your home. A mandir can also be at your home if such kinds of criterias match. There's no kinds of, you can say, quarrels, fights. There's a peace and tranquility that is flowing from your mandir at home on a very stagnant level, not ups and downs and like a roller coaster, but anytime you enter your home and you go to your mandir, you feel that peace of heart. That place also can be considered a mandir. It is not a certain location which we can pinpoint a house of worship, a church, or a mandir or a temple. Yes, these are all organizations and structures that are put up by the inspiration of Bhagwan and by the guidance of Santos. But more than that, a mandir is a place where we attain peace, joy, comfort, and life. Moving on. What is the importance of a mandir? Now, obviously, we figured out that a mandir is like this, but without learning the importance of a mandir, we cannot comprehend, or we cannot, you can say, grasp the total concept. For anything that you want to become attracted to, you have to first develop its mahima or glory. For example, a Toyota car is something that you've been introduced ever since you were at a young age. And you have been given such kinds of different characteristics about it. It has this and this and this and this. But once you become 16 or 17 and you start to surf the net, you find out that there are more fascinating cars like Ferrari and Mercedes-Benz and BMW and Acura and so on and so forth. And your mind completely becomes shedded from the Toyota. And we do not remember it at all. But why? Because we learned and developed the mahima, the glory of the Mercedes, the BMW, the Jaguar, the Ferrari. That's why the Toyota became completely, you can say, completely inferior. In the similar fashion, if we only live in our home and we only have the glory of our home and it is this great and it is like this and this and this. But if we do not know the importance of a mandir, then we will never feel like going to the mandir to experience these qualities that were mentioned before. But if we know that the mandir has peace, the mandir has stability, the mandir has bliss, in my life, I'm going through a difficult time. But let me go and experience this peace, bliss. And from then, if it works, then mandir can become my home as well. That is why we should learn the importance of a mandir. Number one, the mandir stabilizes the mind. The mandir is the house of God. By doing the darshan of Ghanshyam Maharaj, my wandering and confused mind is calmed. The mandir is a stabilizer. As I mentioned before, our thoughts, we are engaging in such kinds of thoughts day and night that our mind is unstable. But coming to the mandir, it stabilizes the mind by doing the darshan of God, by doing sant samagam, by doing seva of santo and bhakto. So that's the first point. The second point, a mandir inspires noble living. Mandir is a place I am inspired to live better. Mandir inspires the values and virtues necessary for a noble life. Obviously, anywhere you go, may it be a grocery store, may it be a pharmacy, may it be a bar, or may it be a government building, none of these or any other buildings will teach us some kind of moral integrity of doing the right thing over the wrong thing, such kind of moral integrity of not lying, serving one's parents, serving Maharaj, Santo, and Bhakto. No other place will teach us that we, as humans, must live a life like this, such as not to eat meat, not to eat onion and garlic, because Rajogun and Tamogun become predominant, and due to that, our mind becomes unstable. None of these teachings can be learnt anywhere else but the mandir. That's why it is very important, and that's why the mandir inspires noble living. Point 3. Mandir is a way to please Maharaj and Guruji. Yes, definitely. By performing seva wholeheartedly, we can please Maharaj and Guruji in return, earning their precious blessings. Everyone in this world needs blessings. Everyone in this earth needs some kind of rajipo or blessings in order to become stable, in order to attain a peace of heart, in order to attain Bhagwan's divine abode. In Mandir, there is no better way to please Maharaj and Guruji and Santo and Bhakto. That's why it's a very, very important and vital element in our life. Moving on. The vastness of mandirs around the world. Well, in Christianity, Christians call it the Church of Christ. In Jainism, they call it a derasar. In Buddhism, they call it a pagoda. I apologize if I pronounce any of these incorrectly. In the Jewish ethnicity, they call it a synagogue. In Sikhism, they call it a gurudwara. And in Hinduism, we call it a mandir. But in short, may it be Christianity, may it be Jainism, may it be Buddhism, may it be Sikhism, or may it be any religion, there is a form, a building, a structure that is developed for worshiping God. It's everywhere. And we all know this. But we all know this, yet do we take advantage of coming to Mandir? That's number one. Number two, do we take advantage of coming to Mandir and performing Sant Samagam and trying to remove our vices? If we are not Hindu and if we are another religion, then do we take the advantage of going to that facility to worship God and attain peace of heart? That's the question, and today is the day that we make a change in our life. Today is the day we make a change in our life to upgrade our life so that we can change our life in a better way, where Mandir can become an element, a part of us in any way possible. Just like how our arm, right arm, right leg, left leg, head is a part of our body, in the same way, Mandir should become such an element or a limb that without it we cannot live. Around the world, there are these many different kinds of, you can say, mandirs, names of different, but the main point is various religions have a house of worship, and in Hinduism, we call it a mandir. Moving on. A real life scenario. When there is no option, people take the refuge of God. All of you know the incident of Apollo 13. Now, in short, Apollo 13, this was approximately 50 years ago this incident happened, when a spacecraft was going to the moon and a malfunction occurred in their spacecraft, and due to that, there was a prayer that occurred throughout the world. Now, what does prayer and what does mandir have to do with one another? Well, the question is not that, but the question is, in reality, prayer and mandir, are they one or are they different? Well, they are one. Prayer is something which can be done in a mandir, may it be a structure, or may it be in your home, or may it be in your bedroom. When we pray to God, that place automatically is a mandir for us. Peace of heart, very, very, you can say, stable mind. When these two elements come together, then one can pray. And this very incident of Apollo 13 was one of a kind. The whole world prayed so the astronauts can safely return back, because there was a malfunction in the oxygen tanks and oxygen was not producing to a rate where everyone can live. And they did something. We want to take a look at the video so that we can understand it better.
July 16, 1969, Apollo 11 blasted off from Cape Kennedy for the first mission to send men to walk on the moon. President Richard Nixon called in to prepare. Right, but he definitely called for her. Matter of fact, he made a phone call from the White House to the moon, and he said this has to be the most historic phone call ever made from his office. And, but then he tells the astronauts, all people on this earth who one in their body must go down, and one in our prayers, you will return safely to earth. Those prayers were answered. And when a year later, in April of 1970, Apollo 13 was launched. Before making it to the moon, the astronauts sent this iconic message. An oxygen tank had exploded, severely damaging their craft. The astronauts had limited power, they lost cabin heat, and they were running low on water, which was used for cooling and drinking. Dangerous levels of carbon dioxide were also building. People all over the world prayed with interceding for our mission. They have prayer at the Chicago Board of Trade, at the Vatican, the Wailing Wall of Jerusalem, and President Nixon had a day of prayer in America for the astronauts. It was clear that God's guidance and wisdom stood the astronauts. First, they triggered the carbon dioxide removal system and jump-charged the monocle batteries. Then they made manual burns to correct their course and send them towards Earth. April 17, 1970, it entered the Earth's atmosphere and splashed down in the South Pacific. They are manually guided to land near a hurricane is raging, and they're all rescued. Nixon said, "What was the this last week? The parade long about it, which showed that the U.S. Americans will always turn to the other side of the crises." And so we have this tradition in America that when there's a crisis, we crowd the God.
As you saw from the video, that the whole world prayed for these astronauts of Apollo 13. And due to that prayer, due to taking the refuge of God, these astronauts were saved, and everyone from then onwards developed a conviction that definitely when it comes to any kinds of miseries, prayer, or we can say mandir or temple or church or any place of house of worship is the place to go to. But one thing I want to add to that is that, yes, definitely when we have trouble, misery, we should go to mandir and pray. We should pray at our home mandir. But according to Bhagwan Swaminarayan's principles, not only when we have trouble, but when we are happy, when we don't have any kinds of miseries, or if we have not encountered any issues, yet we should go and pray to God. Pray to God to keep us away from kusang. Pray to God to make us into ekantik Hari Bhagat. Pray to God to give us more bhakti, saintliness. Such kinds of prayers can go a long way. But we should not use God in such a way when we have trouble, when our car has a flat tire, then we go to God. But when our car is running smoothly and there is no issues, we should also go to God as well there. Because Bhagwan is marking that is this devotee using me, or is this devotee wanting to please me? And off of that, we are developing our points in God's book, and from there, that's how much bliss God will give us in His divine abode. Moving on, Shriji Maharaj's 6 mandirs. When Bhagwan Swaminarayan came on this earth, he had a thought that to preserve upasana and develop dharma which will be stagnant in society, I must develop mandirs. And one of those reasons out of the 6 that he came on this earth was to do this very factor. And from there, might I add that out of the 24 avatars, or any of them, none of them have made temples, 6 of them, by themselves. Which makes Bhagwan Swaminarayan's criteria, Bhagwan Swaminarayan's resume, we can say, Bhagwan Swaminarayan's level completely different from the avatars. That's why Bhagwan Swaminarayan is Avatari, or Supreme Lord, who comes only in this universe once and only once. And we are very fortunate that he came 239 years ago in such a close time span that we get to read the scriptures such as the Vachnamrut, Satsangi Jivan, so on and such, the Shikshapatri. We are very, very fortunate that we get to read his charitras and develop his mahima through them. Such kinds of, you can say, elements are present in front of us. And through that, the mandir is utilized in such a way that we can make these elements more and more stronger and become ekantik bhaktos of Bhagwan Swaminarayan. But moving on, Shriji Maharaj, when he came on this earth, he made 6 temples himself. As you can see from this image right here, this is a temple of Gadpur that is being made, or Gadada, where Bhagwan Swaminarayan lived there most of his life, in Dada Kachar's Darbar. And Bhagwan Swaminarayan himself did not only command, but Bhagwan Swaminarayan himself, you can see here, put bricks on his head, carried rocks to not only inspire others, but to show others that the path of seva is the path of mukti. Bhagwan Swaminarayan displayed these kinds of traits to show saints and devotees that this is the path to God. So the first temple that Bhagwan Swaminarayan built was Ahmedabad Mandir. As you can see here, Ahmedabad Mandir is a beautiful structure, and Bhagwan Swaminarayan set it in Gujarat. When he arrived from his journey as Nilkanvarni, he stopped in Gujarat, which is a western state in India, and he developed all 6 of his temples in the Gujarat region, or the Gujarat state, we can say. The second is Bhuj Mandir. This mandir is actually a latest mandir, but before this, the mandir that Bhagwan Swaminarayan developed himself was, you can say, destroyed by an earthquake in 2001. Ever since that time, a new mandir has been developed in its place, as you can see over here, a beautiful marble structure. But the interesting part is that the devs, the deities of Narayana Dev, there, in the original mandir that Bhagwan Swaminarayan, when he installed the deities, nothing happened to them. The whole structure fell, but nothing happened to the deities. So slowly but surely, the devotees removed the deities, and then after this temple was built, the deities were placed back inside the temple. So that's how the history of Bhuj Mandir is. Moving on to number 3, Vartal Mandir. The Vartal Mandir can be called the capital of the whole Sampradaya. And our Puja Guruji has been serving the mandir for all his life, but for the past 10 years. Puja Guruji did works at Vartal Mandir which completely changed the whole facade and changed the whole environment. And it is said that such kind of works have not been done since 150 years. That's how much Puja Guruji changed the whole environment of Vartal Mandir by the grace of Shreeji Maharaj himself. Moving on, number 4, Dholera Mandir. Dholera Mandir is located in a remote area which is called Dholera in Gujarat, and Sadguru Shri Nishkudan Swami, he is the one that at first, by the commands of Shriji Maharaj, lived and run the mandir, and he himself also carved beautiful, you can say, carvings in the mandir. If you go there, that you can find out what Nishkudan Swami has done, but it's also a very beautiful mandir. Number 5 is Junagadh Mandir. Sadguru Shri Gunatitanand Swami, a saint of Bhagwan Swaminarayan, was the head of this mandir for 40 years. And there he, in the satsang assembly hall behind the mandir, he discoursed to devotees and santos. And for 40 years he did this, and there is a book that was developed by his elite disciple, Sadguru Shri Balmukund Swami, called Swami Vato, Sadguru Shri Gunatitanand Swami Vato. And even today it is read. But this is Junagadh Mandir. And finally, number 6 is Gadara Mandir. Maharaj himself lived here in Gadara Mandir and Dada Kachar's Darbar, which is right behind this structure that you see right now, for 30 years of his life. Bhagwan Swaminarayan stayed on this earth 49 years, and out of that 30 years he stayed here in Dada Kachar's Darbar in the backside, and here in Gopinathji's Mandir. So these are the 6 temples that Bhagwan Swaminarayan has created himself when he was on this earth. And he himself also installed all the murtis. And in Vartal, Hari Krishna Maharaj, that we just saw, Vartal Mandir, Hari Krishna Maharaj was installed here in this mandir, and Maharaj himself said to Sadguru Shri Muktanand Swami, who was beside him at that time, that this form here, the form that is talking to you, and the form in Akshardham are all one. And even till this day today, Hari Krishna Maharaj is worshipped by millions and millions of devotees, and Bhagwan himself fulfills the desires of its devotees and is pragat, is manifest in that murti. Bhagwan himself has said. And due to that, that's how the importance of deities was also developed in the Swaminarayan Sampradaya. So these are the 6 temples that we went through. Let's move on. Now, obviously, these 6 temples were installed by Bhagwan Swaminarayan, but our organization's name is Loyadham Mandir. What is Loyadham? Well, Loyadham is a remote village in Gujarat, and there, by the inspiration of Bhagwan Swaminarayan himself, this white beautiful structure mandir that you see is being currently developed by our Puja Guruji and his team of santos and bhaktos currently, even till this day today. You might have even seen the videos that are developing. But I would like to tell you a story of how this whole mandir came about. Our Puja Guruji was this was maybe 15 years ago, 13, 14 or 15 years ago. Our Puja Guruji had a dream. And Bhagwan himself showed Puja Guruji this whole structure in his dream. This whole structure was not developed by any architect or anyone. They have not drawn it and then said, oh, this is what a temple, we can do it like this. No. But Puja Guruji had a dream, and Shree Maharaj told Puja Guruji to make this kind of temple. Then when Puja Guruji awoke from his dream, he himself took a pencil and paper and sketched the mandir, and from there it was taken to professionals, and the professionals developed such kind of a 3D model of a mandir, and that's how this whole concept of Loyadham Mandir was developed, through Puja Guruji's dream. And Maharaj himself inspired this whole very project to happen. So that was in that formation. After the dream, everything started, construction, as you can see here. Thank you to Google Earth. I'd like to point out certain features of Loya. Now, as you can see here, from the bottom part here, those are the small homes that you can see on the right side, and that itself is Loya Mandir. Loya village. And that is a village, and all the, you can say, empty land over here on the right side and left side are the land of farmers that farm and make a living and then come back to live in the homes. Now, the very first structure constructed was the very first Hari Mandir was by Sadguru Shri Yoganand Swami, which is right there pointed by the arrow. It says Loyadham Prasadi Mandir and Surakachar's Darbar. Surakachar, a very, very friendly devotee of Bhagwan Swaminarayan, and a very, very staunch devotee of Bhagwan Swaminarayan, lived there. And when Bhagwan Swaminarayan came to Loya, he would live there in Surakachar's Darbar. And afterwards, Sadguru Shri Yoganand Swami also developed this Hari Mandir. And it is said that approximately more than 300 santos lived in this mandir and studied the language of Sanskrit, so they can gain the knowledge of Bhagwan Swaminarayan through such kinds of ancient scriptures. Now, from that saying, Puja Guruji attained Loya 20 years ago by Sadguru Santos, who told him to take care and serve the precious land. And our Puja Santos lived there. In the year of 2004, Ghanshyam Maharaj was instilled in this mandir by the inspiration of our Puja Guruji, and our Santos lived there for approximately 8 years and then moved to the current Sant Nivas. You can see right there that arrow pointing, current Sant Nivas. That's a very, very small structure for the amount of Santos that live there. Nonetheless, our Puja Guruji also lives in such simple structure that has sometimes the lights go, sometimes there's many outages, floods, everything, there's many problems that occur, yet Puja Guruji lives a simple life there with Santos. And then on the left side, currently a Sant Nivas is being built. So that structure there, right there, where Santos can live. And then at the bottom, on the south side of the Sant Nivas, the new Mandir, Loyadham Nutan Mandir, which is 250 feet wide and 225 feet in, you can say, in depth, and 108 feet in height, in all white marble, which is a very special marble which will stay white for thousands of years. That kind of marble is being used here, and it is currently being developed as of right now. The village is so remote that to go there is very difficult, but those who visit Loya Mandir attain a peace of heart. The mandir is being developed, but more than that, there is no structure. But more than that, the Ekantik Satpurush resides there by his darshan, by his presence. According to Sarangpur's 7th chapter, one's minds, you can say, jagged edges become very blunt due to the presence of an Ekantik Satpurush. And Puja Guruji resides there, and whoever goes there attains a peace of heart. So for those who go to India in the future, make sure to visit Loya, because it is a place to go. And Maharaj himself also performed the very famous Sakotsav Utsav there in Surakachar's Darbar, where you can also have darshan there as well. So that's the history of Loyadham Mandir, and this is the Prasadinu Mandir. It is a Haveli type that Sadguru Shree Yoganand Swami made. Under his guidance, other Santos helped him, and Sanskrit was studied here by many Santos in Maharaj's time. Moving on, Sri Swaminarayan Mandir Loyadham NJ. Puja Guruji's vision was broad, and is broad in such a way that Puja Guruji wants to develop such kind of satsang everywhere. And by his grace, Sri Swaminarayan Mandir Loyadham was bought in 2010 as a church and converted into a temple, as you can see here in beautiful structure. And in the year of 2014, Pirda Shri Ghanshyam Maharaj was installed here, and Pirda Shri Ghanshyam Maharaj's murti is one of a kind. If a person was given enough money to travel the whole world and to visit as many temples as he can, or to visit all the temples, and then at the end come to Loyadham Mandir, New Jersey, and have the darshan of Pirda Shri Ghanshyam Maharaj, then he would understand the beauty, the glory, the attractiveness of Bhagwan Swaminarayan's idol that is here. Puja Guruji lived in Jaipur for 1 whole month, where this murti was being made by sculptors, and there Puja Guruji himself stayed there 1 month and told the sculptor to do it this way, cut this way, each and every formation of Bhagwan Swaminarayan's idol. Puja Guruji guided the sculptor, and due to that, this murti is made. That's why it's so unique. That's why it's so beautiful. That's why it's so attractive. That's why it is solving thousands and thousands of bhaktos' miseries, and giving solutions in the form of bliss and shanti and peace of heart. And then Puja Guruji, by Bhagwan Swaminarayan, Puja Guruji's inspiration, last year Sri Swaminarayan Mandir, Loyadham, Florida, in Valrico, was bought, and there, right there, you can see there's also a temple, or a church structure which was converted into a temple. And right there, right now, our Puja Santos live there and do satsang pravruti. But in the future, it is a place where thousands of bhaktos will be able to come and enjoy and attain peace of heart. So, finally, the benefits of mandir. We figured out the importance, we figured out what a mandir is, but we figured out Bhagwan Swaminarayan developed 6 temples, but what are the benefits of a mandir? Well, number 1, increases moral value. Number 2, gives a peace of heart. And number 3, gives us the right view, we can say. From there, a mandir's benefits are completely different from the world's benefits. We have now seen that moral value is developed, a peace of heart, and our vision becomes proper. Then what else is there to wait for? Come and join Mandir and enjoy and attain peace of heart. Saying this, my humble Jai Swaminarayan.